All right, all right. Well, praise to the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. It's your boy Yashar back at it with the young prophet Enoch. Today's lesson or topic is gonna be the tribe of Ephraim and Puerto Rico. All right. So yeah, we're doing this because I did this same class about 4 years ago, and but it was light, and so I wanted to revisit it and do it again and kind of get into more classic breakdown of Tribe of Ephraim, more classic scriptures that we used like when I first came into the truth. But I just want to put out a disclaimer real quick. A lot of people, they doubt that any Hispanic or whatever could be an Israelite, and they look at those people over there with the small hats and they look at them and they be like, no, these are the real Israelites, right? So I just wanted to give a quick scripture real quick, and it's Isaiah 32, and I'm gonna read verse 17 and 18. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 17, and it says, the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness quietness and assurance forever. Verse 18, and my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. So if those people over there were the real people, they wouldn't be at war right now. They'd be at peace. Because prophecy says when the true children of Israel enter into the land, they'll be in peace, right? They'll like I just read, they'll dwell safely. So this excludes them from being the people of the book. All right? That's just something that I just wanted to put out there real quick. So again, the topic is the tribe of Ephraim and Puerto Rico. Okay, so we're gonna go into some breakdowns and we're gonna explain how the Puerto Ricans are from the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, first off, let's first start with who is Ephraim, right? Who even is Ephraim? A lot of people that claim to read the Bible or study the Bible, whatever, they don't even know who Ephraim is. They don't even know who Simeon is, right? Issachar, whatever. So we're going to start off with Genesis chapter 41, and we're going to read 51 and 52 real quick. So go ahead and get that.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verse 51. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house.
Read on.
And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction.
So Ephraim is the son of Joseph. Joseph is the son of Jacob. All right, so Joseph is one of the 12 sons. And then Joseph had a son, and he called him Ephraim. All right, let's go to Genesis 48, and we're going to read Genesis 48 and verse 17. So go ahead and start at 17.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 48, verse 17. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head.
So he did that because Manasseh was the older son. Manasseh was the elder out of the two, right? Joseph was the baby. Manasseh was the older brother. So read on.
And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head.
See, he wanted to put his hand on Manasseh's head, not Ephraim's head. Go ahead.
And his father refused, and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
So Ephraim is going to be greater than Manasseh. That's why he put his hand on Ephraim's head. And then Ephraim is going to be a multitude of nations, right? A multitude of nations. That's important later on. Okay? So now we know who Ephraim is, right? Ephraim is the son of Joseph. Joseph is the son of Jacob. So now let's let's go into the split of Israel because this is important as well, right? So let's go to First Kings, and we're gonna go to chapter 12 and start at verse 19.
This is the book of First Kings, chapter 12, verse 19. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day.
Read on.
And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only.
So at this point, everybody was against the house of Judah, right? But when you keep reading, it breaks it down where it was actually Benjamin and Levi still with the house of Judah. This makes the house of Judah, right? These makes the Jews. So northern kingdom rebelled, right? So let's go down to 25 and read to 30.
Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David.
So Jeroboam was scared that the northern kingdom was going to return to the house of Judah in Jerusalem to go do the worship and, the high holy days and all the other stuff. So go read on.
If this people go up to do sacrifice.
Verse 27, read on.
If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of his people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me.
Right.
And go again unto Rehoboam king of Judah.
So he was scared that he was going to lose his power over northern kingdom. Read on.
Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
So now Jeroboam, his wicked ass, he decided to make idols for the northern kingdom, right? Read on.
And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
All right. So we see that he set up idols in the province of Dan, which is another tribe of Israel, right? So this whole thing is a violation of the law, right? Because the Most High don't want nobody worshiping other gods, right? So let's just get that real quick. And remember, I'm establishing a premise here, so to say. So let's go to Exodus 20, and we're gonna read 1 to 6.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Right. So this is a big thing with Northern Kingdom, right? Because Northern Kingdom, still to this day, we make idols, right? You go to the Catholic Church, and who's mainly in the Catholic Church? Hispanic people, right? And when you look, they got nothing but statues there. So now let's say, all right, they got a statue of white Jesus, right? We all know that Jesus is not white, but they have a statue of a white Jesus, which they believe is Jesus, right? Now, they bow down to this statue and worship it. Meanwhile, he's supposed to be in heaven, right? So the law specifically says that, look, it says from verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above. So if this Jesus is right in heaven, they're not supposed to be making some type of statue to him and bowing down. That's idolatry. Regardless of who it is, it's idolatry. So read on.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me.
Read on.
And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
So when you keep the commandments, the Most High takes that as you love him. He shows you mercy when you know what I'm saying? For those who love him. And by loving him is keeping his commandments. He says it clearly right there, right? So let's go look at what Ephraim did. You know, we already know that according to First Kings, they were already in idolatry, right? But let's just dig into Ephraim a little bit more, right? Hosea chapter 4 and verse 17.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 17. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone.
So Ephraim is joined to idols. Now, this right here doesn't necessarily mean that it's just solely the tribe of Ephraim, because Ephraim is the head of the northern kingdom. So a lot of the times you're gonna hear Ephraim, but it's referencing the whole northern kingdom, right? Okay, cool. So we already know that idolatry is a no-no to the Most High, right? But there's consequences. So let's go to Hosea 9, and we're going to go to verse 17.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 9, verse 17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto them, and they shall be wanderers among the nations.
So because of this idolatry, the Most High is going to basically exile the northern kingdom. All right? Let's go to, just real quick, let's go to Deuteronomy, and I want to go to just 28 and 15. I want to go to the curse real quick. So go ahead and read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. The curses are gonna come upon you and it's gonna overtake you. Now, for violating the law and committing idolatry, there's curses that's gonna come upon you, right? Let's go to verse 37 real quick.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall take thee, lead thee.
So we see that the Most High is going to exile them out of the land, right? Because of their idolatry and their sins, right? And not keeping basically the commandments. So let's go to 2 Kings and let's read 2 Kings chapter 17, and we're going to read verse 6. Go ahead and read it when you got it.
This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 6. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of Medes.
Of the Medes.
All
right. So we see that Assyria came in and took the northern kingdom captive, right? This is their exile. This is the result of their idolatry. So we're going to go to verse 16 and we're going to read to 18.
Verse 16. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove and worshipped all the host of heaven and served Baal.
Right. So they started going and worshiping Baal and all this other stuff. Go ahead, read on.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire.
Right, child sacrifice.
And used the divination and enchantments and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger.
Read on.
Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
You see, this is their exile. This is them getting exiled for their idolatry, for their breaking of the commandments. Now remember, this is Israel. This is God's chosen people. And even they were going to be exiled for not keeping the commandments, which is crazy because a lot of people today will argue about keeping the commandments. It's crazy. Anyway, so let's go to Deuteronomy 33 because I want to show you a prophecy, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 33. So we already know that Northern Kingdom got exiled for their idolatry. But let's go and let's show you some prophecy that Moses prophesied about. Right? Deuteronomy 33 and verse 17.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 17. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his thorns are like
His horns.
His horns are like the horns of unicorns.
So real quick, it's not unicorn. When it says unicorn, it's not talking about a horse with wings and one horn. It's talking about a rhino. It's talking about when you look up ancient rhinos. You can look up ancient rhinos and you'll see it's a big rhino with one big horn, right? This is what was called a unicorn, because uni is one. Uni is one, is Latin for one, right? So unicorn, right, is a horn, one horn. So read on.
And his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and there are thousands of Manasseh.
Right. So when it says, and with that horn he shall push them together to the ends of the earth, this is talking about Ephraim, basically guiding the northern kingdom to the ends of the earth, basically migrating. That's basically what they're talking about. Ephraim being the head tribe and pushing the rest of the tribes in a migration out of that so-called Middle East area, right? And we're going to read about it. So let's read about Ephraim and the northern kingdom leaving, right? Leaving. So let's go to 2nd Esdras. Let me see something. Let me see. 2nd Esdras, and we're going to go to chapter 13. And we're going to start at verse 40. Go ahead and read that.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. If those are the 10 tribes, my bad. If those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So this is when the northern kingdom, slow down when you're reading too. So the northern kingdom went into another land, which is Assyria. They were taken captive. Go ahead.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So this is the point. They were in Assyria. They were told that they could leave, and they said, you know what? Rather than going back into Israel, we're just gonna go back into a further land where no man ever dwelt. And we all know that Asia was occupied, Europe was occupied, right? Excuse me. All these different places were occupied, but there was one land that wasn't occupied. Read on.
Where was it?
42.
That they might keep their statues, which they never kept their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
Read on.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and had stilled the flood till they were passed over.
So in them leaving, they went through the narrow path. I did a video years ago, years. It's probably like one of the first videos I ever did about Northern Kingdom. And I did an illustration where I show you leaving from Assyria, like the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, like, and then going from Persian Gulf all the way into around Africa and into the Americas, right? But let's just keep reading. Go to Psalms. So the floods that he held still, these if you read any of Columbus' writings, he talks about how going from Spain to the Americas is nothing but storms, right? Nothing but storms. So read that last 44 again.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and had held still the flood.
Held still the floods. See, he's holding those storms so that they could pass through. Let me get Psalms, and I want to go to 107, and 29. So read Psalms 107 and 29.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 107, verse 29. He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still.
So he made the storms come so that way Israel could pass through the ocean, right? And make it to their destination. So let's go back to 2nd Esdras and read 45.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth.
So this same region, right, to get to Arsareth, it took a year and a half. And if you look at the old video that I did an old video years ago, where even like in the video, I took a clip of a Christopher Columbus movie, and in that movie he's saying, it's called Paradise, something to Paradise, and in that movie he's saying how it takes about a year and a half for the destination, right? And let me just show y'all something real quick about the Jewish encyclopedia, just so you see, right? So this is the Jewish encyclopedia, and when you look into the Jewish encyclopedia is Arsareth, right? So I'm gonna read it. It says, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from habitation of men. So remember, they in 2nd Esdras is talking about a place where no mankind dwell, right? Anyway, it says, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 2nd Esdras 13:45. Columbus identified America with this land, right? So we see that America was actually Columbus was actually identifying. He was reading 2nd Esdras, tracing the lost tribes, and understood where they were at. This is why he went over there. That whole thing about Indies and all the other stuff, that's a straight lie. India, at the time of Columbus, India wasn't called India. It was called Hindustan or something like that. You can look this up. It's called Hindustan. They wasn't calling themselves India. So that whole thing about him looking for India, no, and looking for Indians and all this, that's not true. That's just school bullcrap, right? All right. So let's keep going. So now what's prophesied is that Ephraim is gonna lead the northern kingdom to the west, right? To the ends of the earth, to the west. So let me get Genesis. Let's get Genesis Genesis 28, right? Genesis 28, and we're gonna read 14. No, yeah, 14. So go ahead and read that if you got it.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 28, verse 14. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west.
Read on.
Ah, there's no more.
All right. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And indeed thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So you see how it's going to be pushed to the west, right? The main issue or the main key word is west, going west. Let's go to Deuteronomy 33:17 again. Read it if you got it.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth.
Pushing the people to the ends of the earth, right? Let's go to Hosea 11, and let's get Hosea 11, and we want verse 9 and 10. Go ahead and read it.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 11, and verse 9. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, for I am God, and not man, the Holy One in the midst of thee, and I will not enter into the city. They shall walk after the Lord. He shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, then the children shall tremble from the west.
From the where?
From the west.
So when the Most High makes his return, right, the children are going to tremble from the west. This is showing you that according to prophecy, Northern Kingdom was going to travel west, right? West. This is the America. This is Arsareth. Arsareth is west of Israel. right? um, so let's go to Hosea. I want to go to verse chapter 14 and verse 6. Go ahead and read it.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 14, verse 6. His branches shall spread, and his beauty shall be as the olive tree, and his smell as Lebanon.
His branches shall spread. His branches shall spread. This is even talking about, even in Puerto Rico, the branches, which is the offspring, is going to spread. It's going to spread beyond the walls of Puerto Rico. Because if you even look at Puerto Rico, there's more Puerto Ricans outside of Puerto Rico than there is actually in Puerto Rico. And that's the idea. The branches, spreading, going abroad, right? Going different places. Let's go to Genesis 49 and 18, 19. No, 22, sorry. Read it.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall.
You see? His branches are running over the wall. They're going from Puerto Rico outside of Puerto Rico. They're going to travel outside, right? Let's go to let me see. Let's go to all right, so let's start explaining how Ephraim is Puerto Rican besides just the branches and that and pushing to the west. Let's actually start going into some stuff, right? I want to read let's read one of the curses, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy. We're going to go to 28 because one thing about it is the curse is always going to show you who's who. All right? The curses are always going to show you because the curses don't fall on every single person on this planet. But we could see who the curses fall on and identify what's going on, right? So let's read Deuteronomy 28 and 49.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as a swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
So this nation is going to come from the ends of the earth, meaning the other side of the world, right? That's how when the conquistadors came to Puerto Rico, that's who this is talking about. They came from the other side, right? They came from the other side of the world, and we didn't understand what the hell they were saying. We didn't understand their language whatsoever, right? We spoke our own language. We didn't speak Spanish. Spanish was brought to us by this nation that came from the other side. Let's go to verse 50.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
So when this nation comes, they wasn't going to show favor. They're going to just start killing everybody off, right? All right, let's look at Hosea 13 and verse 16. And look at I'm going to show you an account that happened to Northern Kingdom, right? That was prophesied to happen to Northern Kingdom, right? Because Hosea is the prophet for Ephraim. So read that.
Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her God. They shall fall by the sword. Their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their women with child shall be ripped up.
So Samaria is the capital of Ephraim, is the capital of Northern Kingdom, the capital of Ephraim. It's literally in Ephraim, right? All right. So watch this right here. Watch this. I'm gonna show you something. And I brought this out in the video that I did like 4 years ago. This is Bartholomew de las Casas. This was a Spanish priest who came to the islands to try to convert the natives into Catholics, right? And when he was there, he witnessed something, right? So let's see what he witnessed, right? So right here, it says It says they forced their way into native settlements, slaughtering everyone they found there, including small children. Oh, remember the curse in Deuteronomy. It says they shall a fierce countenance, right? And show no favor to the young or the old, right? This is it right here. Look. This is also Hosea 13:16. Watch. It says they forced their way into native settlements, slaughtering everyone they found there, including small children, old men, pregnant women, and even women who had just given birth. They hacked them to pieces, slicing open their bellies with their swords, as though there was so many sheep herded into a pen. Right? It says they even laid wagers on whether they could manage to slice a man into two at a stroke, or cut an individual's head from his body, or disembowel him with a single blow of their axes. Here it goes. They grabbed suckling infants by the feet and, ripping them from their mother's breasts, dashed them headlong against rocks. Read Hosea 13:16 again.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 13, verse 16. Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her God. They shall fall by the sword, their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their woman with child shall be ripped up.
You see, this is exactly what happened. What was prophesied to happen to Ephraim happened when the conquistadors came. This is exactly what they did. So this is prophecy being lived out in real time. In real time. All right. Let's get the book of Jeremiah, and I want to read Jeremiah 5:15-18. Go ahead and read it.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 15. Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language thou knowest not, neither understandest what they say.
So when the conquistadors came speaking Spanish, we didn't understand that. We ain't understand what the hell was Spanish. All right, read on.
Verse 16. Their quiver is as an open sepulchre. They are all mighty men.
Right.
And they shall eat up thine harvest and thy bread, which thy sons and thy daughters should eat. They shall eat up thy flocks and thine herds. They shall eat up thy vines and thy fig trees. They shall impoverish thy fenced cities, wherein thou trustest, with the sword.
Read on.
Nevertheless, in those days, saith the Lord, I will not make a full end with you.
Read on.
They will come and kill us off.
Verse 19.
No, you got 19.
Okay. Yeah. So you see how even in Jeremiah it prophesies that there was going to be a strong nation that was going to come and take over the whole place. They were going to eat up all your crops, just basically take over. You were going to be the tail. They become the head. These are all the curses that are found in Deuteronomy, right? And that's exactly what happened to the Northern Kingdom. This is exactly what happened to the Puerto Ricans. Taínos, right? They call them Taínos. But this is actually the tribe of Ephraim. Everything that prophesied in Hosea, and we're going to keep going. We got a lot more to go. But everything that was prophesied to Ephraim is actually being played out with the Puerto Ricans, right? The so-called Taíno Indians, right? Let's go to Psalms 55. Psalms 55 and 21, right? I want to show this in real time too, happening basically to the so-called Taínos. All right, read that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
Yeah. So this is speaking of Esau. Esau, which is the conquistadors, Spaniards, they put forth their hand to try to be like peaceful, right? Read on.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
You see that? They basically came with trickery, trying to say smooth words, but really they was all about war, right? I want to show I want to show a page from this book, Bartholomew de las Casas, right? So just bear with me. I gotta find the page. It's page 88. All right. So just bear with me. Page 88. All right, we almost there, right? Page 88. So watch this, right? As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me see if I could just read it from the book itself. Okay. So watch this. This is documented from Bartholomew de las Casas himself, right? And look what he says. He says, so we're talking about Psalms 55, right? Read Psalms 55 and 20 and 21 again. Read it again.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords.
All right. So it's right here. I found it just by looking at it. Right? I'm going to read it from the book anyway. This is the part that I'm reading, right? So it says, they had seized and bound at the onset and setting sail for Puerto Rico. They sold half of the consignment there as slaves before sailing on to Hispaniola, where they sold the rest. When I was on the island of Puerto Rico and had the opportunity to confront this particular commander with his wicked behavior and with having betrayed those people, his reply was, "Come off it, sir. The orders I had from my superiors were quite specific. If I could not capture them in battle, I was to promise them peace as a way of tricking them into giving themselves up and then enslaving them." See that? Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So prophecy in Psalms is actually lining up with what happened to the Taínos, right? This is Ephraim. This is exactly what was supposed to happen. When we read on, we're going to read, because we're going to keep reading Hosea, and we're going to find out more things in Hosea that actually pertain to us, right? Watch. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 62. And you could read it, like, if you got it. Don't wait for me.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 62. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God.
So you see that we were left few in numbers when they came because of their slaughtering, right? All the stuff that they were doing, the killing and all these different things that they were doing to us, they were basically trying to wipe us out, right? If it wasn't for us heading to the hills. And I was in Puerto Rico. I stood in Puerto Rico in 1993. I was there for a year. I went to school and all that. My father passed away over there. But while I was there, I noticed some things in the town that I was in. I'm from, well, not me, but my grandmother had a house, and it was in Salinas, Puerto Rico. That's where we were staying. And I noticed in the town of Salinas, they had Taíno statues, right? And in Salinas, where I was at, it was the campos, meaning the mountains. So to see that the Taíno Indians were there in the mountains, it actually solidifies prophecy again. Watch this. Let's go to Matthew 24. Matthew 24, and we're going to read verse 16.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
Read it again.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So you see that every time Israel was invaded, or every time they were invaded, they were told to flee to the mountains. That was something that was just a common thing, right? Flee to the west, flee to the mountains. go to the hills, right? And this is exactly what Taínos did in Puerto Rico when they were being conquered. They were fleeing to the mountains, right? All right. Let's go back to Hosea. Hosea, I want to go to 9. Let's go to Hosea 9 and read 14.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 9, verse 14. Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. Ephraim is...
Hold on. So it says, give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. I don't know one Puerto Rican girl who was able to breastfeed. Right? This is dry breast. I don't know anyone. If you know one, or the majority of Puerto Rican females can never breastfeed. They're always pumping or giving Similac or Infamil, right? They never basically breastfeeding. This is just something that they can't do, right? Go ahead and read the next one.
Verse 16.
Verse 16.
Yeah, verse 16. Ephraim is smitten, their roots is dried up. They shall bear no fruit.
They shall bear no fruit. Watch this, read on.
Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb.
So watch this. Watch this that I came across. Watch this thing. This is it's man, Esau is the devil, bro. Look, this is called eugenics and reproductive coercion in Puerto Rico. It says, starting in the 1950s, Puerto Rican women were coerced into sterilization and used as test subjects in developing the modern birth control pill. So the women of Puerto Rico were giving birth control and sterilization so that they won't have kids. Read that again in Hosea 9 and 16.
Verse 16. Ephraim is smitten, their root is dried up. They shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb.
See that? Even though if they bring forth, so even though if they get pregnant, they have these birth control pills to kill the baby. This is the first freaking experiments with abortion. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what they were doing to our people. This is Hosea being fulfilled, right? Through this eugenics program that they did in Puerto Rico, right? Read verse 17.
Verse 17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations.
You see, so this is the result. This was part of the result for being heathens, for basically wanting to be just like the heathens, committing idolatry and just casting away God's laws, right? For casting away God's laws, all these curses came upon them. And it didn't come upon them in the land. It came upon them outside of the land. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all of this is happening when they got exiled. After their exile, this is when all of this is happening, right? Let's go to Jeremiah, because it's not all doom and gloom, right? Even though deserve it, but it's not all doom and gloom. Let's go to Jeremiah and let's read 5 and 18.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 18. Nevertheless, in those days, saith the Lord, I will not make a full end with you.
See that? So the Most High is already promising. And even when you read the book of Hosea, the Most High is promising Hosea that they'll be like, fruitful, and they will be, as the sand of the sea. So they're not going to be altogether eliminated, but they're going to be punished because they did mess up. And right. So let's read that. Let's go to Hosea. Let's go to 1 and 10.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. Right. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God.
Right. So regardless of what, right? Regardless of all the stuff that the Most High, made them pay for, they still his chosen, and they still will be as the sand of the sea, right? I want to show one thing real quick. Let's I want to show the wrong one. All right, so I want to show you this, right? And this came out a few years ago, and I wanted to talk about it, but I wasn't sure to talk about it, right? And it says Puerto Rico and Haiti may possess the best guarded secrets of pre-Columbian civilizations, right? So this little stone right here is just one of about 800 other stones that were found in Puerto Rico. And these stones have Hebrew writing, and they've been tested. Guess by who? By these small hats. They actually went and carbon dated it and checked it and everything, and they found out that it's pre-Columbian, meaning it's pre-Columbus. These stones were in Puerto Rico before Columbus, right? So they can't say this the Spaniards brung them. They were there before it, right? And look what it says. It says the latest episode in Journey of what may be North America's most valuable prehistoric records is playing out in Israel. This is definitely one of the strangest and most fascinating stories I've been involved in, said laboratory professional Iris Groman. Something I'm not going to try to butcher that. According to a University of Haifa press release. So the University of Haifa is in Israel. It says, to date, we have not found any similar carved stones or other objects in this region of America, and this is why many researchers assume that they must be fake. However, the microscopic tests we performed show beyond any doubt that the stones were carved around 600 years ago. So, of course, they're going to say a certain date to disprove the original date, right? But nonetheless, they're authentic. They're not fake. And so it says, look, it's such an estimate of their date would place the artifacts in the time just before Columbus using radiocarbon dating. However, investigators in Puerto Rico dated that the grime trapped in those stones lettering at somewhere between 900 BC and 900 CE. We believe the stones are even more ancient. You see that? So these stones are way before Columbus. And so if the stones have Hebrew writing on it and they've been authenticated to really be Hebrew stones, then who put them there? Who did it? The so-called Taínos. They from the tribe of Ephraim, right? They're Ephraimites. They're Israelites. This just goes to show you that the Taínos are actually Israelites, okay? I want to go to... How long have we been on here? 47? All right. Let's go to Hosea 14 and 6.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 14, verse 6. His branches shall spread, and his beauty shall be as the olive tree, and his smell as Lebanon.
So you see, the branches shall spread. And like I told you before, when you look at so-called Puerto Ricans, there's more Puerto Ricans outside of Puerto Rico than actually in Puerto Rico. And that means that the branches are going to spread. Your branches are your seed, your offspring, right? It's going to spread and go elsewhere. All right. I have a book, right? So when you look at Israelite street teaching, a lot of the things that they say, well, a lot of the selling point is Deuteronomy 28 and 68, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. If you got it, you can read it. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse, because this is one of the scriptures that they always bring out, right? Okay.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And their enemies, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
So the Israelites are going to go on ships into slavery, right? Watch this. So I have a book right here. It's called, I don't know if you can see it. Let me remove this. So the book is called From Columbus to Castro. All right. And I'm going to read it real quick. I'm reading page 31 all the way at the bottom, right, to highlight it. Right. Look what it says. It says, he described them as a wild people fit for any work, well proportioned and very intelligent, and who when they have got rid of their cruel habits to which they have been accustomed, will be better than any other kind of slaves. On his third voyage in 1498, this is Columbus. On his third voyage in 1498, he shipped 600 Indians back to Spain. The slave trade in the Caribbean thus began. So this is saying that the Atlantic slave trade started with Ephraim, so-called Taínos, right? They were put on ships and sold over there to Spain. This is how the slave trade started. And this is also a prophecy of Deuteronomy 28:68. Deuteronomy 28:68, they will be put on ships and sold into slavery. This is exactly what happened. This is an account of it. I even read it in Bartholomew de las Casas, that they were being put on ships and sold all over, right? So that's Deuteronomy 28:68 fulfilled, right? I don't know how many people Lost Tribes and Promised Land, right? The light is kind of bright, but Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, right? Let me just read one little quick page out of it. This is, and a lot of people who know this book probably know exactly where I'm going. This is page 364. And it says, upon hearing her words, they rose, went over to Montesinos, and to his utter astonishment said, Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Ihad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. That's what they said. The Indians said this to Montesinos, right? It says, a brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue. According to Montesinos, whose fluency in it is almost as perplexing to the reader of his narrative as that of his three mysterious new companions. They told them that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby. Now remember, this is Tribes of Promised Land. Where this happened so-called somewhere around like Ecuador and all that other stuff, right? They were close by. So Reuben is the tribe of Reuben. These Indians, they approached Montesinos. They were so-called from the tribe of Reuben, and they said that the tribe of Joseph, which is Ephraim, is on the island nearby, right? So, and that's documented in not no Hispanic book or black book. This is straight up white people writing this, right? Historians. So there's so much more information that we could go into, but I wanna be able to give that much, right? But now let's go to Isaiah 28. Let's go to Isaiah 28 and 1. Because there's something wrong with our people, right? Go ahead.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 1. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine.
You see that? So, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, right? Ephraim has a problem. When I say drunkard, I'm not talking about liquor. I'm talking about drunk with doctrine and philosophies from the other people, from the other nations. We would not hear ourselves, but we would definitely give ear to another nation and believe anything that this other nation is saying and says who we are. They give our freaking history to us instead of us searching out our own history and discovering the truth, right? Like for example, the Bering Strait, right? They say that we came here through the Bering Strait. Well, Smithsonian Institute put out an article a long time ago. They put out an article saying that there was no way that we could have crossed through a Bering Strait. Excuse me, especially at the time that they said. It would have been way too cold, too harsh. No one would survive. but that we actually came through the coast. And that coming through the coast actually represents second Esdras, how we came on ships and we came through the coast. We came, how the Most High held still the floods, right? This shows that Smithsonian Institute is basically backing up second Esdras and how we got here, right? So if anybody caught this late, please go back, rewind it, and watch it from the beginning. I'm gonna end this right here, but I'm just gonna say all praises to the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and give it a like, give it a share. But again, if you missed it, go back and rewind it and look at it from the beginning. All right. Thank y'all for watching, y'all. Shalom, shalom. Enjoy your Shabbat. Shalom.